Hey guys, Tinsnox here, reporting for duty. I found this game on itch.io. It's called The Writer Will Do Something. As someone who is in an MFA program, as a poet, I thought this one would be kind of fun to do. So, here we are, we're gonna do this. It's set up like you're a writer, a famous writer or something like that, in 2012. Your fans are desperately waiting for like either your third series or the third book in your series, and your editor's waiting for it and you haven't either started it or anything like that, and an emergency meeting has been called. So I'm not entirely sure. I think it's mostly text-based, so you get to bear with my lack of amazing voice acting. So yeah, I don't know what there's gonna be for sound, so we will see. I also hope this is in screen, because when I loaded it up on itch.io, like, there wasn't a boundary of what I could put in OBS, so we'll see. Start. The Writer Will Do Something by Tom Bissell and Matthew S. Burns. I like the typewriter effect. April 26, 2012. With the sort of Law and Order-esque. You are the lead writer on Shattergate, Future Perfect, the third entry in a once-beloved franchise. Dude. Oh, I click. You never finished the original Shattergate. Okay. And somehow didn't play Shattergate Strike, Scoured Lands, even though both games, still glistening shrink-wrapped, occupy the same space on your coffee table that they have for the last 14 months. Why? It's not really important how you wound up as the lead writer on Shattergate. You did. The game is 6 months from shipping. Late last week, so it's not a book, it's a game. Might be. Same difference, you're writing. Late last week, the team received its first reactions from paid outside consultants, which were unambiguously catastrophic. It's not good. You're in a meeting room with several others, most of them leads. You're fairly certain none of them knows you never finished Shattergate, never played Scoured Lands. It's Monday, 9:30 a.m. A heavy damp towel smell lingers. You and everyone else here worked through the weekend. You look around. The meeting's attendees are Josh, creative director, Mike, lead designer, Troy, lead producer, Sean, level designer, Erica, art director. You're done looking. Okay. 6 years ago, Josh made Dying Gasp, Metacritic 91, an innovative and highly influential first-person adventure game with minimal combat and poor sales. He cheerfully admits he dreamed up Shattergate to make money. Of course, it's not his IP, it's the company's. Nevertheless, he drives a Lexus IS 250. He tried to leave the Shattergate franchise after the Shattergate Strike Scoured Lands debacle, Metacritic 65, later admitting that he'd failed to push back against the absurd time and production constraints he and the team had clapped upon them. But some lingering attachment to the world he'd helped create proved impossible to resist. Josh likes to remind team members how much Shattergate Future Perfect is costing the company. The first time he mentioned the number to you, you had to go lie down. But whenever he does mention this astronomical sum, it feels to you vaguely like a self-appraisal. I don't really like this Josh guy. The meeting's attendees are... Okay. Mike is a systems guy. You know this because that's how he described himself to you the first time you met him. Hey, I'm Mike. I'm a systems guy. Sounds like my ex. You wondered if that was his way of being brusque or passively combative with you. The unspoken implication being that, as a representative of the holy order of the narrative, you and he were destined to gallop toward each other in battle. But over the last several months, your interactions with Mike have been much less frequent than you once supposed they would be. You chalk this up to the fact that, of all the duties one might expect a video game's lead designer to perform, Mike seems chiefly invested in defeating his co-workers in multiplayer matches and tweeting gnomic in-jokes about the game at his 1,400 followers. Today we talk weapons balance like it's the most important thing ever. It is. Every afternoon at 4 o'clock sharp, his fist-pounding, controller-throwing antics peel across the studio from the playtest room. Sounds like a great guy. A couple days ago, he told you that he'd never watched an in-game cinematic from start to finish willingly. Let's talk about Troy. Troy is apparently the youngest lead producer in the company's history, and he certainly looks the part. Thin, fair-faced, with an altar boy side part and an array of ironic t-shirts. Your favorite, World's Greatest Grandma. He came to Shattergate Feature Perfect only a few months ago, fresh from rescuing another famous game development disaster, Cruel Fates, Metacritic 82. Although he's new here, his lurid tales of impossible odds, recalcitrant developers, and the physical toll he took jetting back and forth to Japan every other week to pummel that game into its final, publishable form, have gained him a succession of rapt audiences here. And really, it's not that difficult to see why. Everyone's hoping that Troy can work wherever dark production magic he possesses to repeat the trick and cement his reputation as an industry turnaround artist, a game dev messiah. He likes to say, somewhat cockishly, all I really do is make people do their jobs. Okay, let's see about Sean. Whoa. Sean is the level designer in charge of several important chunks of the game, including the opening sequence, which the outside consultants had crapped upon with vein-popping vigor. Truth be told, it was Sean's idea that the opening featured minimal tutorialization. Shattergate players are gonna have basic literacy with fundamental ludic concepts. He graduated from the NYU Game Center 4 years ago, after which he and 3 friends successfully kickstarted $75,000 in order to commercialize his thesis, Golem Girl, a retro platformer about a Jewish girl made of reanimated skin and her adventures through various levels inspired by Eastern European fairy tales. Why? In interviews leading up to Golem Girl release, Sean scoffed at what he called didactic interactivity, which he regarded as a betrayal of the language games are intended to speak. It took you a while to realize he meant any video game that told you how to play it, or essentially every commercial video game ever made. Excuse me. Sean also once told an interviewer that his personal idea of hell would be working for a big AAA developer. After a torturous, extended development process, Golem Girl finally went out to its backers. Sean sounds like a great guy. Josh told you once that it sold under 1,000 copies. Erica, please be normal. Represent us girls fairly. Erica came to game development from Hollywood, and you have noticed that she likes to talk about Hollywood, as though it were one monolithic set of beliefs, practices, and aspirations. She claims to regard video games as the next big step, but has never, as far as you know, described what this big step putatively leads towards. Of everyone on the team, she is simultaneously the most passionately devoted to getting to quality and the least concerned with defining what quality actually means. She's been known to spend 40 minutes explaining why a window shouldn't go there, 1.5 hours on the corrected doorknob height. Behind her back, she's called the professor. The level designers just want to slap down geometry and go, but Erica wants everything on screen to be perfectly positioned, perfectly lit, and perfectly designed. The end result is testers bathing in the sensuous visual caramel of her environments, and quickly realizing they have absolutely no idea where they should go next, or what they should even be looking at. She and Josh usually have a weekly meeting in which he begs her to dial back on the excessive detail. Fascinating. Yet, if Shattergate Feature Perfect ends up with anything going for it, at all, it will be its art. You can see the critical consensus on it already, 6 months before it ships. This beautiful but emotionally empty screenshot generator is yet another example, as if one more were needed, of AAA's development's creative bankruptcy. I'm done looking. Everyone knows why we're here. This is Josh. His eyes are red and his shirt hasn't been ironed in probably weeks. You've heard rumors that his wife has been upset about the amount of time Josh has been away from home. His son, turned 2 last week. and Josh missed his party. The consultants didn't like our game. Not only that, they had no idea what kind of game we're making. We're here to fix this. We need to fix this. So let's go around the room. I want you all to tell me what you think is the main problem. Unfortunately, you're sitting next to Josh, so you have to answer first. With unnervingly android simultaneity, all 5 heads around the table turn and look on to you. There are a few ways you could answer, Josh. Play it safe, start with the playtest report the consultants delivered, stick it to the facts, try not to place blame, go for conciliatory approach, noting that, as the writer, you share some responsibility for the game's poor showing. Be brave and say what's really on your mind. This project has lacked clear direction for years, which is why it's a mess now. Okay, let's see what I want to do. I clearly don't care about this game at all. I don't really seem to like the people that I'm writing this game for either. I'm just gonna be brave. You say, the consultants, I think, can't figure out what kind of game we're making because we don't know what kind of game we're making. I've been here for 14 months, and I still don't know whether we're making a cinematic game or an emergent combative-driven game, which impacts me in a million ways. Oops, let me highlight that. Fuck. Shit. Oh well. Josh puts his hands on the surface of the conference table. You can pause that and read it. As though to steady himself. It's both. He's angry now, you can tell. But doing his best not to give away just how angry. You know what? Every goddamn month you and I have the same conversation, and I always tell you the same thing. We're giving players the freedom to choose how they approach our world, and it's kind of your job, our job, to build characters and situations around that experience that they'll never forget. Troy, possibly coming to your aid, says, when I think of the canonical Shadowgate experience, I always come back to the Hydra fight in Season 1, or Shadowgate 1. I don't know what S1 stands for. It's big, but controlled. It's got choices, but it doesn't feel aimless. Do I know why I'm giving these voices? Nope, not a clue. Josh nods. I love that fight. For a brief, terrifying moment, it looks like he might actually cry. But look, this all goes to my point. We do know what kind of game we're making. By and large, we've made the game we intended to make, but somehow this isn't getting across to the players. How to communicate our intentions better. That's why we're here. Actually, Sean says, they do something really clever with that in Dark Souls. God damn it, Josh says, his head lolling back. I've told you, again and again, that particular game's example is just not fucking relevant here. Troy staring out the window, his face fixed in a smile. He's a fan of Dark Souls. I'm not. I didn't like Dark Souls at all. It's a good game, don't get me wrong. I've watched some YouTubers play through it, but the point is, it's not my style of game because I can't do it. I just can't. I'm not that. I can't play that sort. So is Sean. So are you. Even Josh has played a fair amount of Dark Souls. You know this from the amount of trophies he's racked up. You're nothing if not a careful spy of your colleagues' online profiles. But you know Josh has also been forced to clamp down on any aspirational attempts to mimic it, because Josh's boss, everyone's boss, Drew, the GM of the studio, despises Dark Souls. Can I click on him? Nope. According to the stacks of market research studies that apparently spontaneously generate on Drew's desk, Dark Souls doesn't represent what typical consumers want from their games. Drew might want to research that. It does well with the core, he concedes, but when you're spending Shadowgate money, Dark Souls becomes commercially unviable. Rumor has it that anyone who even mentions the game in an aspirational context within earshot of Drew is at instant risk of being terminated. The room is quiet for several seconds. Josh leans back in his chair. You're pretty sure everyone's thinking about Dark Souls. Finally, Josh says, It sounds like, more than anything, we've got a writing problem on our hands. Without looking at you, he gets to his feet and heads for the dry erase board. There he grabs his beloved blue marker. Glyphs and boxes begin to form under his swiping, circling hand. Let's walk through the intro level. All of it. Step by step. I want to put all the dialogue under the microscope, all the objective strings. We'll adjust timings, maybe retool some environments to improve the flow. Environment is content complete, Erica says. His back to the room, just breathe in, breathes out. Yes, I know. Just making sure you know. I know. Josh's whiteboard scribbling turns squeakily ferocious. This is important. We don't have a choice. We need to get this right. If the first 90 seconds of our game don't melt people's faces or make them tweet Shattergate is back, motherfuckers, then guess what? We've lost them. We've lost them to Gears, to COD, to Minecraft. Minecraft's awesome, Mike says, as though he were just arriving. Josh turns back to the room. Behind him is what you vaguely recognize as Sean's opening level layout. Guys, anyone here remember our design document? Remember how we were gonna set the table story-wise? A super that says GCA 1009, 5 years before the schism? Then bam, we drop you right into the action. He puts his hands out, suddenly looking like a frat boy beggar in a rumpled button-down shirt. What happened to that? We have 6 minutes of cinematics right up top. Why'd we front-load all this other crap into our game? Okay, you tell the truth and remind Josh that the Big Gabby opening cinematic was something that he and Drew asked you to write. You tell the truth and admit that the opening cinematic is not your best stuff. You tell the truth and bring up the fact that the cold open was tried, implemented, and ultimately rejected as too abrupt after several playtests. I'm just going to tell him that I didn't want to write it. You say, Josh, 8 months ago you and Drew told me to write up that opening cinematic. You both said it was going to be a test. I had like 1 night to write it. Next thing I knew, it was being storyboarded and animated. Josh stares at you, but it's Mike that speaks. If it was such a bad idea, why didn't you push back? Or make it better, later? We hired you to know what good writing is. Why aren't you raising red flags if you see issues like this? I didn't think it was a bad idea on its own. Is that me? I can't tell. This isn't a satisfactory answer. You can feel a cheerly orb form around and separate you from your colleagues. Josh, still looking at you, crosses his arms. You know you have to say something. You say, maybe I'm imagining this, but it seems like a lot of the game's problems are all of a sudden being placed at my feet. No one's saying that, Troy says. I don't know, Erica says. I haven't been that crazy about the quality of the scripts, just to be frank. Me neither. This is Sean. You stare at him in hot-eyed surprise. We're not going to get anywhere if all we do is point fingers. I completely lost track of whose voice is whose. The only one I know is Erica, mine, and Josh's. Troy says, using his producer tone, a higher-pitched, suspiciously reasonable-sounding voice, nevertheless devoid of all collegiality and emotion. I can't do that. Now, based on what I'm hearing, we have 2 options. First option is we stick to our guns, go with the cinematic open that explains our lore, maybe with some new VO, if we think that'll smooth things over. Option 2, we go back to the cold open. I really don't care what you guys choose. What I care about is that we make this decision right now, right here in this room, and stick to that decision. Really stick to it. I don't want to hear, yes, I agree now, and then learn you're all talking shit about our decision later to your departments. Because guess what? After today, this ship has sailed. Throughout this entire speech, Troy has been mashing the surface of the conference table with his index finger, as though killing ants. He turns to you. Another ant. Since you're the one that's going to have to write it, what do you think? Your mind is this bright, glittery cascade of thoughts. Unfortunately, you're not able to isolate or hold any single one of them. Everything in your head is water. Making a decision right now, in this room, has too many implications. It will determine the tone of the rest of the game. It will determine the rest of your day, your week, your month. Part of you wants to ask the room if there's an example of another game out there that has done a cold open particularly well, but you're worried Sean will start talking about Dark Souls again. You could... Oh, my God. Okay, I'm gonna take a sip of water for this. It's not even water, it's apple cider. I'm glad I didn't have to read any of that. I didn't even read any of that. I didn't even have to say any of that. I just looked away. Okay. Whew. I'm gonna pause and have to read that when I'm editing. I'm gonna read over any of that. Wow. You can pause and read that. That was a lot. Wow. I vote cold open, says Sean before you can speak. Mike nods. Yep. Hold on. I vote cold open, says Sean before you can speak. Mike nods. Yep. Agreed. Cold open. Troy says, okay, done. Cold open. Next issue? Josh looks around in panic. Can we hang on here a sec? Troy smiles at him in a sad, condescending way. We have to get through the rest of the level. We're already 20 minutes into this meeting. Yeah, sorry. Obviously Josh isn't sorry. But I don't think the cold open will work. We have a lot of really important context to establish. Critics eat that shit up. So I think we keep the opening cinematic but rewrite the dialogue. It's way too expositional, Sean says. So maybe we should go with a more in medias res type thing. I kind of like the part where Rick talks about the planets dying. Here, Mike breaks in. No. I hate that part. It's just a random bullshit about some planet the player's never heard of. Why should he care? Because, Sean says, the planet's dying. It's all very sad, Mike. Mike goes dead-eyed. The player needs to feel that loss in the gameplay. Sean nods at him indulgently. Sure. Yeah. I look forward to the system you devised to communicate the entirety of planet loss. Ooh, burn. Wait, Troy says. Isn't that why we put all the effort into building emotional connections? He's quoting one of Josh's development mantras here with riskily obvious dubiousness. Through Rick's companions? But nobody seems to have heard him. That, or nobody chose to have heard him. Rix is a been-there, done-that kind of guy, Sean goes on. Right? What if he's just like... Sean does his best, which is to say wildly unsuccessful posh British accent. Our galaxy's never been a pleasant place to be, but now entire planets are dying. Josh finds this all very amusing. Ship that shit. Yeah, ship it. Troy agrees. Ship it! You know that this is the first time anyone has smiled since the meeting began. But Sean is undaunted. Hell, it's no worse than some of the lines that are in the game right now. Look, all I'm trying to do is... Josh jumps out of his chair again. Wait, just shut up. How about this? What if we cut the in-game chatter and went with a straight-up voiceover? You know, the world has changed. Galadriel type shit. Erica's mouth chops open. You want to cut all the in-game dialogue? That's supposed to fix the problem? No. I'm thinking like images. Something simple. He looks at Erica so intently you are half fearing a marriage proposal. We use our kick-ass visual art team led by you to make like a really beautiful visual quilt. Josh's flattery does not make its intended inroad with Erica. A visual quilt? Erica says this phrase as though turning it over in her mouth, outlining it with her tongue. And what exactly will this visual quilt of yours look like? Spaceships. Planets. You've noticed that when confronted with something she doesn't want to do, Erica often says, okay, thinking about it, before quickly dismissing the idea. Okay, thinking about it. Then she makes a face. And no, underlined in fire. For the open of our entire game, you want to pan and scan over a planet floating through space and stick some voiceover under it? Did it become 1958 in here or something? Yeah, Mike says. Sorry, dude, but I'm with Erica here. That scrolling text shit reminds me of low-budget JRPGs. Not the biggest game of the year. Josh's hurt face, which cruelly makes him look like a decade younger, metronomes from Erica to Mike. When he begins to speak, you sense him minding his words. Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe I missed something here. But doesn't every Star Wars movie start with scrolling text? With that, though, he is no longer minding his words. His eyes fill with the madness of unheeded profit. Doesn't what is literally the most popular movie franchise of all time introduce itself by taking a giant lore shit on your entire face? The room is silent for several seconds. I mean, he's got a point. Then Erica. Yeah, but it's really the exception to the rule. Josh throws his blue marker onto the floor, where it bounces at a severe angle and smacks into the glass, separating the room from the rest of the studio with a sharp crack. Out on the floor, several heads turn toward the meeting room. Josh is already pulling down the room's blinds. We have a writer, he says quietly, as the white slats of the blinds clackily unfurl. He gestures towards you. I have to sneeze. It's like sitting in my nose and I can't make it go away. Our writer will do something. Oh fuck, here we go. Troy takes a deep breath. So, another pass of dialogue for the open. Yeah, and if that doesn't work, we go with cold open. Erica and Mike look at each other, the table, each other. Josh, still staring at Troy, pretends not to have noticed their subtly mutinous consultation. Troy starts taking a note, but then with a small, infuriated slash crosses out. You know what? Fine. That's not what but fine. Moving on. What's next? Sean begins to stretch in his chair like a giant cat, making itself at home. He's complained before about Troy's unreasonable habit of scheduled meetings before 11 a.m. My god. Bangs, what are you doing? The first 25% of what Sean proceeds to say is mostly yawn. Hey, can we maybe talk about the pirate attack or the space battle or whatever the fuck we're calling it now? We're skipping this pirate space battle, Josh says. It's big, it's noisy, it's fine. People will love it. Let's go right into Afghanistan. Okay, I'm sorry. There's pirates and space and Afghanistan? Erica sighs audibly. Josh has insisted on referring to the game's early subconsciously studied war as bad desert battle, the second major combat encounter, as Afghanistan, so indefatigably, did I even say that right? That a panicked PR flak made him undergo emergency deprogramming right before E3 last year, lest he slip and actually say such a thing out loud to the press. At his press conference, he wound up saying the battle only reminded him of Afghanistan, which thankfully only had higher-minded critics on Twitter tisking him for about an hour afterwards. It just knocked 20 things. Remember, Troy says, we're not supposed to call it Afghanistan anymore. Sorry. Let's go right into Tora Bora. Troy makes another note. Josh is walking around the table now, his hands moving in emphatic little circles. This is our showstopper, the first moment in game where we announce our true intentions. The new Shadowgate. Grittier, tougher, meaner. And yet the enemy barks throughout that level sounding cartoonish. They're not convincing. Everything is just argle bargle kill the human. It's murdering the fields here. Okay, so, is he taking another shot at you? If so, it's a stab at the centrally absurd heart of everything you've been trying to overcome in the past year. You would very much like to know how Melville, Shakespeare, or even Mark Laidlaw could write convincing combat dialogue for a game in which you punch the heads off enemies frozen in place by your ice grenades. Yeah, that's a point. Grittier, tougher, meaner. Nothing else in the game actually supported these aspirations, even though Drew and Josh talked about them all the time. A single glance at the weapons, art, story, and milieu of this game leads any rational person to an inescapable conclusion. This is a willfully, obviously ridiculous world. Josh is still talking, but you decide, probably unwisely, to interrupt. Alright, choice number 3. This is longer than I thought it was. Fly. Okay, Josh, hold up. Our primary weapon is called a gun sword. We have an execution animation that allows you to decapitate an enemy and skeet shoot his head out of the air for bonus XP. Josh, excuse me? You said Rix was supposed to be this interplanetary Casanova with an alien girlfriend in every location. Josh, hang on here. We're still fighting Drew's input that the enemy aliens use an wow, so much just happened. Use an Arabic-sounding language. I like this one. Okay, so what? It's not very gritty, is my point. Well, that's all in how it's presented. It's a gun with a sword on it. That is how it's presented, Mike says with a sigh. It's the game's signature weapon. And that's fine, you say, because you actually like the gun sword in gameplay a lot. But we're shooting ourselves in the foot if we don't honor what our experience actually wants to be. We go on about how our core fan base wants a grittier, heavier experience, but nothing else in the game is doing anything to support that experience. Do you think that can all be done with writing? With words? Nobody's suggesting this rests entirely on words, Erica says. I've been here without a day off for 38 days in a row. You know why? Because I'm dirtying up our environments to make them grittier. Words, words, Sean mutters to nobody. All at once you go boneless in your chair. What was billed as an emergency fix-the-game meeting has turned unambiguously into something else. You feel like you've gained 15 pounds of paranoia in the last hour. You look around the table. Do all of them have it in for you? How long have they been whispering about your work? Has this whole charade been concocted as an elaborate show trial to convict you for the imminent failure of Shattergate Future Perfect? The game that absolutely cannot fail? It's gonna fail. What about the jokes you've shared? The beers you've drunk? The snarky memes you forwarded to one another in response to some innocent team member's "I bought banana bread" email announcement? All the camaraderie seems like a distant shimmering mirage right now. So I gather it's all a writing problem, you say, weakly defiant. Our whole game. Look, the others glance around the table at one another. They seem to be waiting for you to continue. No, I'm definitely going to quit. I'm going to read the others, but I'm so quitting. Look, I'm trying my best, but none of you have given me any support the entire time I've been here. I hate to break it to you, but there are fundamental problems here we can't fix with the script changes. Yep, okay then. Guess I fucked up. Guess I'm not good at this. Guess it's my fault. Have fun fixing your shitty game without me. Sorry, I'm quitting. Goodbye. You go on. That's what you all wanted from the start, isn't it? To pin this on me. To have someone to point to when this game comes out and it's publicly stoned to death. That way you can fire me, and the rest of you can keep your jobs. You'll hire a new writer to come in and fix everything, just like I came in and cleaned up after Ken and Scoured Lands. Just like Ken came in and cleaned up after Brian and Shadowgate 1. Easy, right? And you can all keep on being creative. We'll keep on doing such a tremendously excellent job with this franchise. You're not sure when you stood up, but now, slowly, you sit back down. We're a team, Josh says finally. He doesn't seem to have been offended by what you said. Worse, he doesn't seem to have even listened to what you said. This is a team effort. We're going to solve this as a team. I know this is hard on everyone, and E3 is just around the corner again. Any day now they're going to be hounding us for demos and fucking interviews and God knows what else. Listen, if there's one thing I know about this team, it's that we can slam it home when it counts. We've done it before, we'll do it again. And this is where it counts. You think about this man missing his son's second birthday party due to an emergency meeting about execution animations. Man, Mike says, it almost feels like we're in that mission at the end of Scoured Lands. The fracture thing with the linear motion gun. Sean actually put the hand over his heart. You mean where the floor gets dynamically blown apart when you're running around on it? I remember playing that. God, it must have been so hard to script. It was so worth it, though. Fracture! Now even Josh is sinking into a marsh of warm, happy memories. Yeah, that was a really good bit. Then he looks around. Word-like. Eureka. Wait a sec. Maybe we should base our open on something like that. Troy's LeBeau, I don't know what that word is. Eyes grow suddenly wide and alert. We're not back on the open again, are we? Josh leans over, his chest pressed right up against the table's edge while he hand puppets his new idea. Just think about it. You open up on a player, lasers are coming down, the floor is getting totally destroyed. Suddenly Josh looks over at you. You know the part I'm talking about, right? You should probably try to keep your job, which is really fun. Despite it all, you say, yeah. Oh yeah. That was really good stuff. You've decided you don't care about the game anymore. About any of these people. You say, want to hear something funny? I've never played Scoured Lands. Not even a little. You realize with painful clarity that writing for games is a terrible idea and nobody should ever do it, ever, for any reason. You say, I think I quit. Oh, man, I don't know. I don't want to keep my job. These people are terrible and I hate them. Is that awful? I don't like these people at all. I just want to tell him this. Just as the words leave your mouth, the door to the conference room drifts open. Mallory, the audio AP, is standing in the door jamb, her face all pinched and traumatized. She's breathing hard. Her face is red. She must have run here from Greenland, which is what everyone calls the audio department. Why? Because it's a distant, harsh land that nobody ever thinks about unless prompted. She's balancing an open laptop on her left hand. I heard you guys are talking about changing lines again. Again? What the fuck? Dude, I told you, she's looking at Troy now. To keep the audio team in the loop on this shit. We're overscoped as it is without another recording session. Josh stands to make peace. Mallory's still looking at Troy. Troy talks right over her ostensible boss, Josh. Well, guess what? It's too late. Grant's in Germany shooting with Wes Anderson. We're not getting him back for at least 3 months. Remember when I told you all that? Remember when I told you we needed to have what we needed to have locked and why? But none of you assholes listened to me. He's shooting a Wes Anderson movie, Sean says. Ugh. Why don't we just recast him? Troy asked the room, his producer tone so reasonable, so seductive. Honestly, a lot of his takes are pretty rough. Hiring movie stars for games is a waste of money anyway, Mike says. Not if you do it right, Erica, who had a lot to do with Grant's casting, says. How it's supposed to work is you get what you need and you cut it. You don't call one of the world's busiest movie stars back into the booth every 3 weeks for pickouts because you don't know what you want. Mallory hasn't actually stopped talking. And anyway, fucking recasting discussions at this stage? Look, audio kinda has to be invited to meetings about things that affect audio. Josh is looking at the ceiling. I didn't invite you because I was trying to let you guys work. His eyes lower to meet hers. You know, because you're so behind. Fuck you, Josh. Okay, Troy says. Please, can we calm down? We're making mass entertainment here, people. Mallory's walking deeper into the room toward Troy. Know why we're behind? Because you keep making more work for us. It's like our whole team is just fucking invisible to you. I like Mallory. Everyone starts shouting at once. Except for Sean, who's laughing. I like Sean. Your colleagues' voices are big and dense and forceful, like waves. They're around you, beneath you, on top of you, hitting you, pushing you. You let the waves drive you away. Your eyes are closed. Soon you're no longer there, but in some happier place, on some other, better project, in some other, better future. One year later. Man, I didn't think that was ever gonna get in it. Wow. Sorry. You're the lead writer on Like a Thief in the Night, a combat-free, exploration-based indie game. It's supposed to be 1 month away from shipping. Late last week, the team received its first reactions from your friends and family beta test, which were unambiguously catastrophic. You're in a coffee shop with your 4 other team members. Everyone who works at the company, in other words. It's Monday, 9:30 a.m. A heavy, damp towel smell lingers. I have chills right now. You and everyone else there worked through the weekend. Maybe it's the 5 Red Bulls you've consumed in the last 8 hours, but you feel compelled to start the discussion. Let me guess, you say. They didn't like the writing. Oh my god. 1, my throat is killing me. I can talk for hours on end, but I can't, do that much. Whew, man. That wasn't what I was expecting it to be. I thought there would be more choice-based games. I'm sorry I can't do voice acting. I would have done it more. My problem is that I forgot who was talking, so I forgot what voices I'd given to people. Not that they were exactly distinguishable voices, but Erica, I kept up. I liked Mallory, but I wonder if they, the writing, or, what outcomes you got changed based on the choices you chose. I'm sure they did, but I'm not sure how. I mean, obviously, because I quit or if I said yeah, but I'm not about to go do all of that again to figure it out. I don't have patience for that. And also, the only small thing that I would have changed is, I didn't know that you could click on things, like, and when it listed, like, who was on my team, and that I could click on their names in order to read who they were, at the very beginning. I didn't know that I could click on their names, so I think, like, a little bit of instruction, or, like, even highlighting their names or something to let me know that I could click on them. It was kind of intuitive, but that would have helped out a little bit. There was no sound, too. I think a little bit of sound would have helped, even just, like, typing the type. I mean, it could have gotten annoying, but it was just super quiet, and if I hadn't been reading it out loud for the sake of recording it, that could have gotten really, really creepy or really tiring, but I don't know, that was a mess, but it was a mess in a really fun way. Like, that team was a disaster, and I like how it leads off, like, was it your fault? Is that why they were all blaming you? But it puts you, it's, because I'm a writer, it puts you in the place of, like, the unreliable narrator. Like, you want to feel for the narrator because you're only getting their side of the point, but, so yeah, you're like, no, of course it's not my fault, fuck you guys. But at the same time, at the end, it's like, well, you know, maybe it was my fault. But, of course, I'm not going to say that. I don't want to be blamed, fuck you guys. I have a really bad time with taking blame for things. But in this sort of game, you don't want to take the blame. And I just liked quitting because, no, I've never played the game. Fuck you. It was just funny. Especially, like, I don't know, Josh just needed to take a chill pill. But the game did seem to be doing a shit anyway, so it didn't seem like it mattered whether or not it was my fault. It just didn't seem like it was going to go well. But it was a fun game to read, and it was funny. I mean, I had to keep reading, so I can't keep talking, my voice is reading. But I had to keep reading, so I didn't really have time to process what I was saying. And that one long thing, I gotta go back when I'm editing. I gotta go. That one block of text where I thought I would have to read all of it before choosing, but then I just kind of was like, but someone so interrupted. I was like, oh, thank God. Yeah, but if you want to go play this and you want to go pick some different choices from what I did, the links will be in the description. It's called The Writer Will Do Something. As you can see. It's just reading. It's literally just reading, but there are some choices you can make, and if you want to pick some different choices than what I picked, I recommend it. See if there's different outcomes. If maybe you try to keep your job and it doesn't end up like this, but who knows? I liked it. This is sort of my type of thing, because I am a writer, so. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, hit that like button, comment, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. Let me know if you do try out the other choices. And thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me talk. I'm sorry if you couldn't understand me because I have a habit of talking really fast and looking at my words. But anyway, I am Nox. Over and out.